This is part 3 of Troop 566's Coleman 3-burner liquid fuel stove tutorial entitled Stove Operations. Picking a good location for your stove is an important consideration. Troop 566 uses this model stove on its car camping trips where picnic tables are almost always found. We like putting the stove on the end of a picnic table, using the remainder of the table for food preparation, eating, and cleaning. When we have more cook groups than picnic tables, we use both ends of the tables. In extreme cases, we also use additional stoves back to back in the middle of the table, allowing even more stoves on a single table. Coleman also makes a freestanding stove stand. However, we have no experience with it. We prefer the safety of a large picnic table with youth possible running around. When stoves are placed along the long edge of the table, it is important not to allow folks on this picnic bench in front of the stove for safety reasons. Sitting in this location, a person cannot escape quickly when a hot pot spills or an overzealous burner flame surrounds the bottom of pots and pans. The stove should be as level as possible. Shoring up on one or more of the corners with small flat rocks will often help level it. Or you may level the entire table with wood or rocks. Be sure the stove is not able to rock back and forth. Place the stove back from the table's edge so that the fuel tank does not hang out over the edge of the table. This helps prevent anyone knocking it loose during operation. The best orientation for the stove is with the back of the stove to the wind. The back of the stove will serve as a windbreaker. The stove also has two triangular wings to help with the wind on the ends of the stove. Under extreme wind conditions, position a large cooler several inches behind the stove to act as an additional windbreak. During snowstorms, use an inexpensive Costco beach umbrella to protect the cooking surface from the snow. Place it high enough above the stoves as not to be a fire hazard. Open the stove lid and remove the tank. The stove's fuel tank should be filled before each use. It is embarrassing to have the stove run out of fuel halfway through the cooking process. You can do this just before each use, or you can fill it up after each meal, assuming you wait until the stove has had time to cool. If you are not sure the tank is full of fuel, feel the weight of the fuel tank and feel the sloshing of the fuel to help determine if the tank is full. Resist opening the tank and looking inside, as this is a safety hazard. Be sure to check the fueling of the stove video chapter. Place the generator rod through the hole across the main burner into the hole in the manifold here. Make sure to place the two hangers of the fuel tank into their proper places. Check that it is secure. Then fold out the end wings and clip them into the holes on the sides of the stove. Make sure that the master control knob on the fuel tank is off. It is off if it is turned fully and firmly clockwise, righty-tighty. At each end of the stove, check that the side burner fuel valves are also in the off position. Again, off is fully and firmly clockwise or righty-tighty. The end of the stove is also marked for the off direction above it. Occasionally, we found the previous user in error of having left any of the three valves in the complete open counterclockwise lefty-loosey position and turned so firmly that the valve does not move freely. This may appear as the valve being off in the full clockwise righty-tighty position. You can easily check for this when no pressure is in the tank by opening the valve counterclockwise lefty-loosey enough to prove it was in the closed position. Do not forget to return it all the way off to the clockwise in the clockwise direction. Locate the pump rod at the right end of the tank. Pull out the knob a couple of inches. Check to see if it is off by turning fully clockwise, righty-tighty. This is an important step since turning the pump knob too many turns will unthread it inside from the piston and seal. Often you can fix this without taking the pump apart by carefully and gently trying to get the pump shaft back into the piston and turning clockwise.
Okay.
From the off position, fully clockwise or righty-tighty, turn the valve 3 turns counterclockwise. Hold your thumb over the hole at the end of the pump rod with the pump rod head between your first 2 fingers, like so. Being careful not to bend the shaft, push in the pump rod fully and gently, and then pull back the pump rod. You will quickly learn how far the pump rod will push in and pull out. With each push-pull of the pump, you do not want to hit the pump shaft stops at either end. Keeping your thumb over the hole in the end of the pump rod on the downstroke is key to pushing air into the tank. You should feel more and more resistance with each pump cycle. A full tank will take about 30 strokes to become hard to pump. An almost empty tank may take hundreds of strokes. It is not necessary to pump over 100 times or after the pumping becomes hard to do. Rotate the pump rod clockwise until it stops.